everybody, it's Freska with a FANTV exclusive interview with Rebel Fighter, featherweight champion of the world, Osmar Delima.
Hey,
how's it going? Thank you so much for coming.
Thank you for having me.
Alright, so we know that you actually have a fight coming up at Dragon House 9. So we're going to talk about that in just a little bit. But for those watching right now that don't really know you, let's talk a little bit about your career so far.
So I've been training jiu-jitsu for 10 years. I'm 23 years old, and I've been fighting professionally for 5 years. I fight MMA, mixed martial arts. That's cage fighting. And this will be my 6th pro fight, actually my 7th pro fight at Dragon House 9. And it's also for, like you said, I'm a Rebel Fighter World Featherweight Champion. This is for a 2nd title, so for Dragon House Featherweight title.
So you talked about you started doing jiu-jitsu at what age?
At 13.
So I did watch something about you on YouTube. And you actually started out at Physique Magnifique with Jimmy and Futaba,
right?
Whom I know also.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, and you were speaking about a charity, or I think it was either a charity event,
yeah,
or
that's what it was.
And so what's really nice is that you're obviously a very accomplished martial artist, but at the same time a very humble, accomplished martial artist at that. So let's talk a little bit about some of the the talk that you have with youth and encouraging them to do positive things.
Yeah, so when I was young, I started at Physique, and they helped me out a lot. And when I was younger, I got in a lot of trouble, after a while, when I was about 16 years old, and that's because I had quit doing martial arts. I quit for about a year or so, and that's what got me back into it. I started getting involved in gangs and stuff like that, and after I got back, it just got me away from a lot of things. It got me out of trouble, and it got me out of situations. I stopped hanging out with the wrong people. So after I came back, started training, I figured I want to fight professionally, and I went away from that, and I learned so much. So I don't want to hold it to myself, and I want to be able to give others and teach them and show them that there's other ways, and it just has kept me occupied.
So, but MMA is not just jiu-jitsu, so it's obviously mixed martial arts. There's definitely, I know you have a Muay Thai background as well.
That's right.
So when did you start to realize in your career that, or in your martial arts career as a jiu-jitsu practitioner, that you wanted to do more?
That was back in '06. Actually, when I started, I was training jiu-jitsu back in '06. That's when I did my first fight, and I wanted, I needed to train everything else. So I started training, but my base was jiu-jitsu. I always take fights to the ground, and
that's where you're most comfortable.
Yeah, but I've been training Muay Thai for 5 years, wrestling, boxing. You have to train everything.
So how many different gyms do you actually train at?
3 or 4.
Yeah, and you teach as well.
Yeah,
that's what I understand.
That's right.
Yeah,
I haven't been teaching a lot lately. I've been focused on my fight coming up, so only a couple days a week, so I can actually train more. So
what is your favorite sub? Because I know that you finished off a lot of your competitors with subs, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So I'm sure you know them all. With each fight, what sub you got them with. Let's take us through those fights and what happened.
The first fight, it was armbar. Second fight was a rear naked choke.
Nice.
Third fight, again, rear naked choke. And then 4th fight was guillotine.
Oh, okay.
Guillotine. So after that, my 5th fight was an armbar. 6th was my title fight. It was also armbar.
So what would you say would be is your favorite? Is the
Osmar? I like
finishing
guillotine. I look for guillotine a lot.
Yeah.
Because people always make that mistake.
They kind of just give it to you.
Yeah.
Nice.
But usually it's always you always make them. You're always working for them to make a mistake, especially since I've been training for so long, jiu-jitsu. The transition is always there. You work to get something, but there's always something else. So that's why there's not really something you're always looking forward to, but.
So you've been in the game for such a long time, and you do it because I know you love it, because you're very passionate about it. And I say that because you actually recently had surgery on your shoulder.
Yes.
So what happened?
I was training. My first time I got injured was in a tournament. I got taken down, and then I landed on my shoulder. That hurt it, and it was unstable after that. But 2 months later, I threw a punch and it dislocated. So after it dislocates, it tears a labrum, you know, and it won't go back to normal on its own. So that was March of 2010, and then so June of 2010, I had surgery. I'm sorry, 2011, last year. I had surgery in June, and so that's why I'm really excited, because I haven't fought in a year, and this fight coming up is my first fight back from surgery. You know, I did 4 or 5 months of rehab. You know, I had a month off after surgery, and then physical therapy after that, and then started training in November. So
psychologically, what goes on in your head, knowing that you're coming into this fight? So it's a
new title.
Okay. So how do you feel mentally going into that, being that you just came off of an injury and it's going to be your first, you know, fight?
Nothing, you know, obviously you haven't been in the ring, you know, because that experience you can't get anywhere, you know. Being in the ring, you get an experience that you can't get in training or anywhere else. But right now I feel, you know, I feel pretty much the same. You know, I've trained, you know, just as hard, you know, probably harder, because, you know, you're coming back from an injury, you know, you've been off for a year. So I train just as hard, and, you know, I give my all. And really, I can't say that I feel any different, you know, than any other fights. My confidence, you know, is pretty high because I've trained so hard. So
let's talk about some of your influences, or some of your favorite fighters out right now in MMA.
Well, right now is Vanderlei. Vanderlei is one of my, you know, top fighters, because he was amazing, you know, in Pride. You know, he's getting older now, but he's been fighting for about almost 15 years, you know. And he's such a humble fighter, and exciting in the cage, you know. And also Vitor Belfort, you know, because I'm a Christian myself, and Vitor Belfort is a great role model for others, you know, being a Christian, and, you know, all the stuff that he's been through. You know, his sister, you know, she disappeared, you know, for 2 years, and they found her dead. He stopped fighting after that, and now he came back. So he's a, you know, perseverance. He's a great example.
I thought that happened to Rua too. Did it happen to
no, not Shogun. It was Vitor. He recently found her dead. So
now you talk about a lot of Brazilian fighters, and you're from Brazil.
Yeah.
So what is it, do you think, about Brazil that produces such a great MMA, not just jiu-jitsu martial artists, but just mixed martial arts in general?
I think it's just the heart, you know, the way they grow up. They're so hungry, you know, because most of these guys, they grew up without a lot, you know. They grew up, you know, on the street, and you see a lot of guys, you know, they grow up in the street. People take them in and teach them. You know, I have a friend like that, Eduardo Rocha. He's in the UFC now, and his brother is they're not real brothers, but, you know, his father adopted him. He used to live in the streets. Now the guy's in the UFC. And also Vanderlei, you know, I read magazines on him, and he would tell stories when he was 16 years old. They would travel to fight, and these guys would share, like, you know, a small piece of, you know, like small plate of food in between, like 6 guys, 6 fighters. Wow. You know, right before a fight, they only had 1 can of Coke to drink, and, you know, so it's the heart, and you know, being in that position that pushes them, you know, to the next level. They keep pushing themselves because they don't want to, you know, stay there, and I think that's what makes, you know, great
You
fighters.
definitely exemplify that a lot, and you know, let's talk about your fight coming up on Saturday. Any special training, or let's talk about actually your any like pre-fight rituals that you have, like right before you're in the cage. What do you do?
Well, not any rituals. You know, I just try to. I don't think about a lot. I don't think about the fight a lot at all. You know, until the day of. You know, before then, you know, I'm so worried about making weight. You know, because we weigh in on Friday afternoon.
And how you doing with that?
I'm 5 pounds over, so I'm getting that's easy. That's easy cut. 5 pounds, you know, the night before. So so before the fight, try to make weight, you know, and then eat as much as I can and rehydrate. Yeah. And then the day of the fight, you know, mostly relax and try to and get in there and do the best that I can, you know. But just the training is what makes the fight. You know, if I'm not well trained, when I start training for a fight, I'm in nowhere, you know, as in good shape as I am at the end of my training camp, and my confidence is not even there when you start training, because you know you haven't trained, you know, you're not really training for a fight. You know, it's very different. It's something you can't really explain. And as time goes on, you know, you start learning and you learn new things, and your teammates push you to the limit, and your confidence just boosts. You know.
Cool. So one last question before we wrap it up. I want to ask you what music you listen to get you pumped up before your fight.
Christian rap, and I have a song that I walk out to. It's called "Awesome God," and that's.
So that's what we can look forward to hearing when you walk out on Saturday at Dragon House 9.
That's right.
All right, great. Well, thank you very much for your time. Much continued success to you. And this is Osmar Delima right here, hanging out with FANTV.
FANTV, thank you.